Hi everybody, I would like to show you another camera from my collection, and this is a special one. This is really an unusual camera that you don't see very often. As you might already recognize, it's a pretty big one, and it's a film camera, meaning it's a medium format camera, 6 by 4.5 centimeters. It's a Fujifilm, and it's even among those, it's a very special one. I would like to introduce you to the GA645Zi Professional. This camera is a weird camera because it's a medium format camera, so that would basically place it in the area of professional cameras. At the same time, it's a zoom camera, fixed lens, with a built-in flash, motor driven, with program setting and things like that. So why did Fuji build this camera? I cannot give you an answer to that. But I can tell you that I'm happy they did, because this camera is really a cool thing. Now, if you talk about film cameras, analog cameras, usually you either pick a medium format camera like a Hasselblad or a Mamiya, and you go with something rather complicated to use, bulky, heavy, and everything. Or you go with a smaller camera, a 35mm camera, and then you have, well, limitations in terms of image quality, because the larger, I was about to say sensor, but the larger negative will deliver a substantially better quality. At the same time, when they built this camera, they seem to think of something like a point and shoot. So you have a zoom lens. It's not actually a zoom lens because it doesn't continuously zoom, but you can move it to 4 different positions. The lens itself is a 55 to 90 millimeters. So in 35mm equivalent, I would say it's 35 to 75mm camera. So it's not a very wide angle camera, it's not a strong tele lens, it's something that covers the medium range of focal lengths. At the same time, even though it's built like a huge point-and-shoot camera from the days, it has a tiny built-in flash that works so and so. It has the first setting you move into when you turn the camera on is P, just to tell you how probably it was meant to be used, in P, so in program mode. However, it has an exposure compensation, it has diopter correction for the viewfinder, it's autofocus, I forgot to mention that. This specific one has a little bug on the LCD screen, but being just for the settings, that doesn't really bother me very much. It can be illuminated, you can switch it to manual focus, even though manual focus with this thing is a pain, because basically once you set the mode, the only dial you have to set things is this one. And this one is used for aperture settings, for exposure compensation, for ISO settings. You can set the ISO by turning this dial to this position, and then you can change the ISO. I have a 100 ISO film, but you can change that. Then you move it back to the off position, and this camera delivers some great image quality. However, it's a pretty bizarre camera to use because you're not used to something like this in this size. You would be used to something like this, say, in the size of this one, and or more or less, a little bit more maybe. And if you compare it to some modern cameras, say the RX100 from Sony, now this is the size difference, you know, this is a tiny little thing compared to this one. However, I love it because it's a film camera that is very easy to use. You don't have to take an exposure meter with you. It does have some disadvantages, for example, or well, some peculiarities. Like for example, the film inside is put like this. So it's all vertical pictures if you hold the camera like this. To do a horizontal picture, you have to turn the camera around. And another thing that is kind of difficult to handle is the speeds. The camera only goes up to, I think, 1/400th of a second. So if you put in now with 100 ISO film, that's not so much of a problem. And the apertures go up to, I don't want to tell you anything wrong, but they go up to, let me see, it starts at 4.5 and it goes all the way up to 22 in the short focal length. So if you extend the focal length, you can go up to 38 aperture. What can I say about this camera? It's a bizarre thing to use. It's definitely something special that every now and then you want to pick up and go out and shoot one roll of film. I think it's 16 exposures on a 120 film. So it's something that you can shoot in one outing. However, it's a strange camera. It's very robust. I picked this one up used, and it was not in the best of conditions. But the cover, or the shell, is supposedly made of titanium. So even if it gets scratched, there are no dents in it or anything. And probably, if it's actually titanium, covered in some plastic like here and here, but this should even take a beating with no problems. It's a strange camera. I can only repeat that. It was not very popular, it appears, because probably to the real pro it did not get the quality or the functionalities that they wanted, and for an amateur it was an absolutely absurd camera because of the medium format. I wanted to show you this camera because to me it's something that every now and then I like to get out and use. Maybe you're interested in something like this. You may want to have a look around. They're not very easy to find because apparently they didn't build so many of these. So you want to have a look around maybe, and maybe pick one up. They're not extremely expensive, but they're not cheap because there aren't many of these. And yeah, what else can I say? Yeah, it has some features that are kind of interesting. For example, this is the release, the shutter release. So it's not a screw-in one where you can put a cable release on it. So what they did was they had this other slot here, this little hole, and there you can screw in the cable release and use it mechanically. What else does it have? Not much, actually. Oh yeah, a self-timer. It even has a self-timer. So this shows you, this was probably an attempt to get medium format into amateur photographers' hands. I don't know. I really don't know. However, I love it. I like it. I'm happy that I got it. And maybe I made you curious about this. You have a look and yeah, enjoy. So hope to see you back here soon. Thanks very much and have a great day.